Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Rockford. This is their part number LS8376-DCP, powdered dull chrome. It does, well, maybe it does. I don't know that it looks like it's a powder coat dull chrome. 3-knuckle institutional overlay hinge, sold as a pair. I can tell you it's made of steel, that's for sure. So this is a hinge. This would be considered a heavy-duty hinge, certainly. This would be an overlay application, and as you look at the hinge to the trained eye, it's clearly overlaid, and we're certainly going to go over that. This is a dull chrome hinge. It's certainly, you're not going to see a whole lot of the hinge. You'll see the back end here. You'll see the front of the knuckle. In a dull chrome type finish. 3-knuckle, you can sure see why it's called 3-knuckle. Institutional. The term institutional is used along with institutional or institutional tip, hospital tip, ligature resistant. All of those terms can mean this feature on the hinge pin here. The concept of that, if it's used in that sort of application, is when the door sits here and consumes most of the hinge barrel from projecting out of off the casework itself, off of the door, there's really nothing for you to hang there. You wouldn't be able to hang a coat on there without it slipping off. You wouldn't be able to get a hat to hang there without it slipping off. And the intent is you couldn't hang a belt or maybe shoelaces on there without it slipping off. That's the purpose of an institutional preparation. It does also make it look nice, those radiused curves that are there rather than a square corner. So I suppose it could be aesthetic why someone might order an institutional hinge, or it could be demanded by code and the application that you have a ligature resistant sort of product. You're going to see these hinges installed all the time in patient rooms, in hospitals. Those patient rooms will always have a personal space for the family, for the patient to be able to retain their personal belongings. A relatively shallow cabinet that might be 24-inch by 60-inch, that sort of scenario. You'll also see these hinges installed in, and this is going to a kitchen cabinet manufacturer. You'll also see it installed in high-end, not high-end, high-volume retail applications. Your favorite coffee shop, they've got those cabinets up at the top, and the workers need to reach up. Sometimes the short people have to use a step stool to get up there and pull those doors open to pull out the coffee filters or whatever it might be. Well, a lot of hanging is unintentionally or inadvertently done on those hinges. Those doors are pulled down, so you'll really see robust hinges like this installed in those applications because you have to have hardware that's going to last. And that's where you're going to see this sort of material. Now, what does overlay mean? There's a link below this video to a document called Cut Sheet, and that doesn't help us. That link to the cut sheet shows a lipped application upper right-hand corner, and you can certainly understand how that works. A flush installation is also shown there. And why is it called flush? Well, because the door is flush with the casework. It's stuck into the opening and it's flush. Well, if you have an overlay, it's going to be quite the opposite of that, where you're going to have your door literally overlay the frame. Because a sketch is missing from that environment, this is what we're talking about in terms of a overlay. The door literally overlays the jamb to a certain extent. When we're seeing, I'll do it this way. What we're seeing here is this, right? That's kind of what we're seeing. Sorry. Okay, so overlay, that's what we're dealing with. Let's move on. Now we can look at the drawing in the lower right-hand corner. And it does show the hinge. It just doesn't help us understand how it's laid out. Okay, that little sketch I hope does. You know what? Let's take it a step further. Here's our hinge drawn in. Okay, moving on. This is a DCP, powder coated, according to them, powder coated dull chrome, A dimension. That's going to be related to your door thickness. This will have a maximum thickness of 13/16, and you can see why. You're going to get right up to the barrel at 13/16, and you're not going to be able to go any thicker. 3/4 would certainly work, but you would really want a 13/16 maximum or 13/16 door thickness. I think that's going to be pretty typical when you are dealing with, and I'm not a cabinet maker, but if you're dealing with 3/4 inch particle board and you put on vertical grade or post form laminate, yeah, you're going to be pushing 13. You're going to be at 13/16 for sure with the thickness of the adhesive. The C dimension, well, the C dimension is going to be the thickness of your sidewall, really, right? So they're saying that that's 5/8, and that's the amount of your door overlay, and that's where that's coming into play. Okay, hinge up to here, to the inside of that hinge is going to be your 5/8. You go to the outside, and you're going to push a slightly different dimension. You know, the 5/8 plus the material thickness. So now you kind of understand the thickness and what the shift over is, so that you can determine now what's going to be your net door width. What is your finish? I'm not sure if they would call it a rough opening or a finished opening, but then add your, I would say your C dimension times 2, and now you have a net width of your panel. Overall height of the hinge leaf, about 2 3/4, as you can see. Okay, screws are included. Not all of the institutional hinges that we sell have screws included. You can tell that this has a fly cut feature to it. That little chisel, not chisel, but that preparation in the edge of the screw tip is going to allow the evacuation of wood as you drill into the material without needing to pre-drill. That's what a fly cut screw is going to be there for. And that's it. Okay. There is finally a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Rockford products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. I like Rockford, and I wish I sold more of their product because they have really, really easy to work with customer service. They answer the phone, they answer the questions, they're straight shooters, they're just simple, no-nonsense, matter-of-fact, very polite, nice people, and very good at understanding their product line as well. Glad it wasn't glass. And I find it to be very agreeable every time that I speak to those folks when I need help on selecting a hinge or availability of something, quoting, things of that nature. If you have any questions on the Rock, and by the way, they are sold per pair. When you buy one, you're getting a pair of these, obviously. Okay, this client ordered 2 pair, 2 openings, 2 pair of doors maybe, etc. However that's going to work for them. And finally, if you have any questions on this or any other Rockford product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.